Welcome to the Lifted Lifestyle Podcast. This is a call to action to live your life above limitations that try to disrupt your peace, steal your joy, and limit your access to your best life. I'm Latasha Weatherspoon, the Chief Empowerment Officer of the Lifted Lifestyle and your favorite host. You can find me on all social media at Tasha Spoon. I hope you and your family are doing well. Today I am joined by my favorite host, Mr. Chaz Bailey.
Hello, world. This is Chaz Bailey, the COO, Creative Opportunities of the Lifted Lifestyle. You can find me online on Twitter at Chaz Bailey. So what we're going to get into today, Latasha?
Well, before we get into our show, we also have an amazing guest in the studio with us today. We're joined by none other than Miranda Evans, the founder of the Troubled Movement and the Black Girl Excellence Mentor of the Year. How you doing, Miranda?
Hey, Miranda.
I am great. Thank you for having me on and having me awarded as Mentor of the Year. It was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you for your
event.
work.
I am so honored. I am Miranda Evans, founder of the Troubled Movement. We are a youth nonprofit organization, and we're dedicated to enriching and encouraging teens and young adults through mentoring and education. And you can follow us on Instagram at The Trouble Movement, or you can follow me on Instagram at Elements of Me, and you can also follow us on Facebook at The Trouble Movement.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of the work that you do with our young people. I know that this work is near and dear to your heart, and it's very, very personal for you. And I just want to say thank you, but we'll get back to that later before I get on a tangent. Before we go any further, I want to start our shot in our normal way with our gratitude moment for the week. So this week, I am definitely grateful for, as I've said before, my tribe is so solid. Thank you so much to my tribe for being there for me, for putting out fires, for making sure that the 2018 Black Girl Excellence Awards was an amazing event that left a positive impression on everyone that was in the room. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have a committee like the one that I've had for the past few months putting together this event. So today I'm grateful for you guys. If you're listening, you know who you are. Thank you so much for everything that you did to help us make this event a great, great success. Mr. Bailey?
Yes, it was an amazing event. And that's what my gratitude starts from as well, because, you know, as your tribe put out fires, you know, we had to run around and be firefighters, etc. And then you never know what can happen while you're doing those type of things. And my gratefulness basically comes from the others, because someone's always watching, and just to see or just to receive the words of encouragement from other people that saw the tribe putting out fires. Especially one young man stood out while in line at HEB. He told me, he said, you guys will be blessed for this because of everything that's going on. You could be ugly, you could be mean, you could be hateful, but we really respect that, and that spirit is not unseen. And I said, wow. And I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 21. And I was like, wow. So just to get that gratitude moment, someone was grateful for me for not, blowing the lid off my head. So So I thought that was wonderful. So I'm grateful for overall humility and for people seeing our actions in works.
And thank you to Mr. Bailey for everything that you did to make Saturday absolutely amazing. I know that you missed most of the event putting out a major fire for us, and I definitely appreciate your support on Saturday and throughout my life in general. That's probably why I'm going to marry you. Yay, you
All
win.
Right.
Miranda,
All
what
right.
do you think? What are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for life.
Wow.
Life first. And I am grateful for being able to overcome the things that I've been through and to make an impact on today's youth and teens and young adults, to be able to mentor and let everyone know that you can overcome the things that you go through. I am grateful for the accomplishments and all the awards and opportunities that I've received, and for growth. I am grateful for growth. I am definitely grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. We always have to pay attention to the small things, because sometimes we look at getting a new house, new job, new car, all that type of things. And the first thing we did when we woke up was to breathe the breath of life. And that allows us to use our gifts as you do. So we're grateful for you doing what you do to make the next generation as great as they can be. So
thank you.
Definitely kudos to you.
Yeah, kudos to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we go any further, I want to take a moment and honor one of the big supporters of the Black Girl Excellence Awards and of the Lifted Lifestyle in general, and of myself, Ms. Rending Garrett, who was a radio host on All Real Radio. She transitioned on Friday, February the 23rd, after a battle with cancer. I just wanted to tell her family that we honor her, we support her, we send you guys much love, light, positive energy. You will be in our prayers. To her sons. And Rendine was an absolute force of love, light, and Black girl excellence, and she definitely poured into my life. So I wanted to take a moment today and say thank you, Ren, for everything that you did for me, for the Lifted Lifestyle, and for the Black Girl Excellence movement in general.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Ren.
She's absolutely amazing. And while we're giving thank yous, today's show is going to be all about recapping the Black Girl Excellence Awards and just talking about mentorship in general. And this event is near and dear to my heart. It was this past weekend on Saturday, and it was absolutely amazing. Even with the hiccups that we had, it was a breathtaking event from the front of the room. To look out and see all of those beautiful faces of women, girls, and husbands and sons there to just celebrate Black Girl Excellence was an absolute remarkable experience.
It was.
Yeah, it was. For me, as you said earlier, I didn't get to see every piece of the event, but to see the introduction, see the young ladies come in and not leave their fathers or husbands, boyfriends at home.
Yeah.
And bring them a part of that and see the smiles on their faces, the encouragement that they were receiving from older women that were in their position before. I thought that was great because, the number one thing is that we always say is children emulate what they see, and we always use it in a negative term. But on Saturday, it was 100% positive, and I was glad to see that.
It was. It was a phenomenal experience. I've never been to that type of event. It was very new to me, and I was excited the whole time to see the little girls and the vendors, and they have small businesses at such young age.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my
definitely.
God, this is magical. Like this is phenomenal. Like I don't even know how to feel right now.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was.
And this year was our second year doing this event. And last year when we set out to do it, I was like, okay, we're going to have some young girls come out and show their businesses. And then you realize, like, these girls have legit businesses and nonprofits. Like, these are not lemonade stands.
Yeah, it's grown from the lemonade stand.
Yes, like, they have legit businesses. And for me, this event is near and dear to my heart. It's about elevating the next generation of Black girl excellence as well as Black girl entrepreneurship. I grew up in a very small town where no one told you that entrepreneurship or going into business for yourself was an option. The options was go to college or go to another college. So it wasn't option for me. So I wanted this event to really show girls that you guys have the opportunity to take life by the horns. Not that college is bad. I mean, going to college has definitely made my life easier. Education is the pathway, I think, to wealth. But in addition to that, multiple streams of income has never hurt anyone. And when you read all of the business articles, they say most millionaires have 7 to 10 streams of income. So having your business in addition to your collegiate aspirations, or even going to college to own your business. I see with us today on Facebook we have Brittany Lee, who has an MBA, and she has gone to college, but she also has her business aspirations on the side. We have to teach our girls that it is okay to be bigger than even we are.
Yes.
So I wanted this event to kind of be that kind of light for girls to follow and to say, you know what, maybe I can have a business too. Maybe one day I can stand in front of a room of 200 plus people and really be enthralled in my passions,
Exactly.
like giving them permission in a way that our girls need. Who gave you permission? Like you have to have people who will give you permission in your life.
Yeah.
I had my grandmother.
Me too.
That was who gave me permission. Like she really pushed me.
Yeah.
And when I published my first book, she would literally sell them to anybody who walked in the house.
Come on, Grandma.
She'd be like, I got these trouble books for $10. Y'all get one of these books.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Grandma.
We can sell everything
Yes.
else. So yes, that's awesome.
So I would definitely say my grandmother.
That's amazing,
That's
and
amazing.
my grandmother was my biggest cheerleader, going to college was my option. She made me read every day for an hour every day so that I was college ready. But when I put my book out, kind of like you, the most defining and happiest moment of my life was being able to give her that book and say, Grandma, look, I did something. And she called them the church people, like
everybody in the neighborhood.
Everybody who would listen, like my baby wrote a book, but to have that kind of celebration, is important. So for us, we have to be the celebration for girls who don't necessarily have that kind of support at home. We have to be beacons of light to show girls the pathway to success, because success may look different for them than it looks for us, but they still need a guide. We all need a guide. I know for me, the hardest thing when I was in my 20s was not having a mentor, not having someone to say, okay, go and do it this way in business when I was starting out in my business. So that's what the Black Girl Excellence Awards is. It's an opportunity and a platform designed to give young girl business owners mentors to show them the way.
Exactly.
Yes. And it is a phenomenal platform. Like the whole idea is just magical because it's not common. It doesn't happen enough. So I think with you doing that, it's very, especially, in Houston or even just all over, it doesn't happen enough. Like Black girls don't know that they're magical. They don't know that they can do these things and that it's possible to have a purpose and to start a business and be an entrepreneur. They need to see that.
And I get real, my soapbox moment. Chaz will tell you, I get real in my feelings about the Real Housewives of wherever, because I feel like we have to at some point be in control of the images of Black women that we show Black girls.
Yeah.
We have to recognize that it is our responsibility, whether we like it or not. And I know not everyone signs up to be a role model, but when you open a microphone, when you stand in front of an open camera, you take on that responsibility, whether or not you like it.
You do. And on the side note, it actually not only for Black girls, but also Black young men. If we see everybody other than our mother and grandmother acting up, and this is what you want me to go into, well, I'm going to meet you where you are. I'm going to act up as well. So it takes a village. It's not saying that they're the issue 100%, but it takes a village because we both have to take our children by the hands and say, this is where you go. This is how we can lead you to the next level in life, because we need to see that generation ahead of us. Because growing up, we had shows, i.e. the Cosby Show, Claire Huxtable, and everybody wanted a Claire Huxtable. Everybody wanted say, well, I'm going to be a doctor so I can marry a lawyer.
Come on.
Because, and that's the way it kind of worked. And then it's slowly going to say, well, I want a trophy wife. I want this, that, and the third. But then where do I have to be to be in that position? Or how do I have to act to keep her in that position.
Wow.
And so it's a big discussion. We may have to revisit it once again, but
well, before we get too deep in the discussion, I want to thank because y'all got that eye connection. Y'all about to go into a tangent. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment and I want to thank the sponsors of the Black Girl Excellence Awards. You know, we could not have done this event without having positive and active sponsors that came and answered the call when we put it out. So I want to thank the Sisters of Survival, you know, for putting it out. Miranda is a part of that. Tell us who the Sisters of Survival are.
The Sisters of Survival and Strength is myself, Miranda Evans, the founder of the Trouble Movement, Yoshiko Burney, founder of the Butterfly Project. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to domestic violence victims and survivors. And Stephanie Davis, LPC, she is the CEO of Hard Work Trending, and she's a licensed professional counselor. And we are basically tribe sisters, and we come together and we sponsor events and we do things in the community together. Most times, like she says, Stephanie likes to say the best thing comes in threes. Okay. So we have collaborated and created Sisters of Survival and Strength. And
well, thank you definitely for
awesome.
coming to our aid and being a sponsor for this event that's near and dear to our heart. We also want to thank Keisha Beasley, who is the founder and CEO of Leap to Serve, Tiffany Franklin and Darius Franklin, who are the owners of Kingdom Group Financial, Nikki Berry, the artist behind Nikki Berry Music, Alexia McClurkin Johnson, who is the sports and wellness doc,
and my chiropractor. I can slide that in there.
Please support our founders as they are supporting works like this one that pour back into the community and into the youth that follow us. You want to support businesses that are supporting our communities, then support these sponsors.
Yes, and a quick note on these sponsors, because sometimes, and especially working in corporate America, when you have sponsors, they just write the check. But these sponsors were actually down in the trenches to make this possible. So I want to commend them on that and leading the way by being a leader in their fields and also in the community. So hats off to these sponsors and yourself, and thank you for joining us again.
And thank you for everyone who is watching us on Facebook. Make sure that you go follow, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher, as well as on YouTube. Facebook. We'll see you later.
Take care.
Okay, so now that we've made that transition back to why this event is important, Miranda, what was the most powerful thing that happened at this event for you?
Oh,
I put you on the spot.
That is a tough one because it was so powerful. I think meeting the young girls, especially Nasaja, the dancer, meeting her after the event and talking to some of the young girls and the women after the event, that was probably the most, to have that one-on-one interaction with them. And the ladies that were on the honoree table, Margot, who was next to me, I call her my hubby. Because when you made us do the hold hands thing,
the icebreaker,
somebody took a picture of her like staring into my eyes, and I'm like looking off like this, and she looks like she's a lying husband, and I'm just like the wife that's like, I don't want to hear this anymore. So that
now let me ask you a question. Why were you looking away?
I don't know because it was really awkward. We were laughing, and so I think I looked away for a second, and somebody caught that picture right when I looked away.
You know, I always get a little bit of pushback about that icebreaker because it is so intentional.
It is.
You know,
it's
so
good, though.
People aren't necessarily used to it.
No.
So during this actual icebreaker, I have the women connect with each other. Yeah. And then pour into each other. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable because we're not used to having that close of a connection with other women. But it was done intentional because it is a physical representation of the fact that women can connect. You know, they try and condition us to believe that women can't connect in an authentic and positive way, and that is a lie.
It is.
We connect with each other authentically and positively. We can support each other. We can build strong bonds with each other. And sisterhood, transparency, accountability, and truth if we are intentional about our connection.
Yes.
So that's what that activity was about. It was about showing that you can connect when you want to be intentional about it.
And it was wonderful. It was, because now we're like, that's my hubby now.
Oh wow! So y'all
that's-
made good
We did.
connection.
We did.
Good,
So
good.
that was a good exercise. It was different, but it was much needed. It was much needed.
Awesome.
Awesome. For me, I think the best part of the event is always the candle lighting or the pouring event, where we had the oldest woman in the room and the youngest girl in the room, and we have the oldest woman in the room literally pour sand into a cup being held by the youngest girl in the room, as a physical representation of what it looks like for her to be pouring into the girls that are following her. And I think for me that's powerful, because I think it's a physical representation of what we have to be doing mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Yes. What we have to be doing intentionally and actively in order to change the culture of the girls that follow us.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was awesome. Wow. I did see a video of that. But for me, I think the greatest part of the event was hearing the feedback when leaving. One little girl in particular asked her mother, what does she needs to do to start her own business?
Oh, yes.
So hearing that from a young girl,
Kendall
like,
Briscoe, thank you, Kia Briscoe, author Kia Briscoe, for bringing your daughter to our event. Kendall definitely made an impact on Chaz and I.
Yes, because I'm not sure how old she is. She looks like it might be
she's
5
8.
or 6. Oh, she's 8. Okay, so 8 years old, and says, "Mom, what do I need to do to start my own start my own business, because I want to have some money and do these great things." But that's the logic of it.
Yeah, after what happened was, after leaving the Black Girl Excellence Award, she turned to her mother during dinner and said, "Well, Mom, I want to think about what kind of business I can start. And I want to take ballet lessons after seeing Nasaya Sharber dance as the ballerina for the opening of the Black Girl Excellence Awards." So actively being able to see that it is working, that little girls seeing other little girls who look like them in business is actually working. It's inspiring them to go out and go forth. That
Exactly.
was powerful.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was like after the feedback that we read about the Black Panther movie and how STEM and everything, we just had a living representation for young girls and women all around in the awards based on you all and also our Young Next Generation Award recipients. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, put that picture back up of the young girls who were awarded. I want you guys to take a moment and know that in this picture there are businesses represented. You have a ballerina in this picture. You have 2 young painters in this picture. You have an author who wrote her first book at 5 years old. I was 33, before I wrote my first book. You have the owners of a vegan-based product line. You have the soon-to-be valedictorian of her graduating class. These girls are in action. Yeah. They are really in action, and it blows me away.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Absolutely
that
blows
awesome.
me away. So why do you guys think events like this is important?
I'll start it off because it is a living representation. Because you can't walk away and turn your back from it and act like it didn't happen, because you were there and you seen it in the flesh. You touched it. For example, like going back to what I just said, we just watched an amazing movie, Black Panther, and saw the sister with this technology that Apple, Google, nobody has. And that said, well, one day I want to do that. But that's on a screen, that's on a DVD, that's on, on the computer. But to go to an event and see someone that not only looks like you, but that may be in your classroom, that may be your mother's friend, it's basically saying that it's not that far out of reach for me. So I have a plan to get there because, one, we're already friends. And so, for me growing up, watching television shows, like I threw a shout out to Claire Huxtable earlier, that may have been some of the first doctors and lawyers we saw. You know, Dr. Phil was a judge, you know, Will Smith's uncle on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But we wanted to be that. We wanted to emulate that. But now it's a representation where you can touch them. You actually are at an event and you see it and you're sitting next to them. You're sharing stories with them. I think that's absolutely amazing because the women that we see in this picture have overcame obstacles but are on the top of the world in their fields. And then we looked at the picture earlier with the young girls, how these young girls are basically in paths to be on top of their fields. And so I'm sitting next to my mother and I'm not up there. I've got questions, you know, like, Mom, what I need to do? Dad, what I need to do to be a part of that? Because these are my friends and they're not going to leave me. And so you start saying things like that. It's self-motivating because all of those factors are nothing but positive. And I think that's one of the key reasons why events like this should happen.
Yeah, I agree. I brought a group of my mentees to the event, and when we left afterwards, they was like, "Oh my God, Miss Miranda, can we go to more? We want to go to more. Like, we need events like that. I want to be like that. Like when I grow up." And so they were really excited.
Wow.
Because they're not exposed to this type of stuff. They're not exposed to this environment. So
Wow.
I think events like that make a big difference in a young person's life. I didn't have events like that I didn't have people around me. I didn't have a mentor when I was growing up. So I went through a very troubled stage in my life. And glory be to God, because he actually helped me overcome and start this new life and this new path for myself. But I just got a mentor a couple years ago. In my 20s. So I didn't have that growing up, and I didn't have these events to attend. So I think when we have these events, that it gives them light and hope to know that they can too do this when they grow up, and they want to be a part of this circle, and they don't, especially with social media in the environment that we're in. Like, it's really hard. You know, we have bullying now, like there's issues going on in schools. So for them to see this, it actually gives them a sense of stability and a sense of belonging and wanting to do something for themselves because they're looking at people who are their color and their gender doing it.
And, you know, we were having a conversation after watching Black Panther about the importance of representation. You know, we actually saw some little girls who were dressed up like the warrior women in the movie already. The movie, they were already dressed like that. I can't wait for Halloween to see all the little girls dressed like Wakanda forever. You know, I can't wait.
Them little girls gonna get home and give it to their little brothers like, come on, let's go. It's time. Exactly.
So I can't wait, but you know, the conversation about representation goes bigger. It is about the movies, but it's also about everyday life. We have to make sure that the representations of womanhood that we are gifting our girls is one that is representative of the women we want them to become. It is not fair for us to show them something and then expect them to be something different.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't show them the images of all of the, you know, reality stars. And not all reality stars are bad, don't get me wrong, but we can't show them negative imagery of themselves. Like mass media is showing a lot of the images are not positive. They are not. They're not even showing the interaction between women as positive, which is conditioning and adding to the stereotype that women can't connect. I mean, there's one show where you have these doctors, you know, who are professionals, and they're catty and mean and undermining. And I just watched it and I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And people give me flack about it, and they say, oh, it's my guilty pleasure, it's trash TV, it's mindless. But if you're watching, don't be fooled into thinking that your daughter isn't watching.
Yeah. You
cannot show her that representation of womanhood and then penalize her for becoming that woman.
Yeah, I agree.
We are what we see.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some emails about it, but I say it like this. Yeah. When they were trying to put out sorority sisters, show that was a reality show about the women of the Divine Nine. They quashed that thing in 2 days. Yeah. But if you can quash that thing because you're concerned about the image of your organization, how can you still watch shows that show images of you as a woman that way?
That's a good point.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out
point.
there.
Yeah,
I'm
put
just
it out
trying to
there.
have the conversation
put
because
it out
we, as women, especially women of color, have to be in control of the images that we're giving our girls.
Yeah, we do.
We have to control the images that we want them to emulate. And I seen it already. I told you the little girls of Wakanda forever. They dressed up. They ready. They're hungry for it.
Yeah.
They're thirsty and hungry for someone to say, you know what, you are a hero. You know what, you are the savior of the world. They're hungry for that kind of affirmation.
No, that's awesome. That's an awesome way to put it. And it not only I feel it doesn't help just the young girls, it helps the young boys as
Of
well.
course.
Because as men, we have to do our job for our young boys just as these women are doing for the women, young girls. However, if every woman, think about it, if every woman walked in that light as you just described, and I come to you in any kind of way that wasn't correct, how am I going to get my woman? You know, so now guess what? Guess what you just did? You making me up my game because it's just like when school was a little rough and your teacher back in the day when they said you're not gonna pass my class, I'm not just gonna push you on. You had to make a decision to do that homework. You had to make a decision to study for that test. And if your end game is to get a woman making these type of moves, then I have to change myself to get myself up to the standard.
Come on.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we may not talk about sometimes because it's a lot of other issues with us. And, stay tuned because the black men, we got something coming.
Oh,
But
I think we should just tell them.
nope.
Oh, okay.
You got to wait for the previews.
Well, he
I'm
said
like, we
no.
can't tell them. Why we
He
But-
said
can't tell
no.
them?
So,
But just to that point, we have other things that we have to iron out. But having an expectation, having a standard. If you lower my expectation, why should I?
come on.
Why should I? And then have the right to question me? No. Why work hard when it's gonna come easy?
Come on. Now
Yeah,
and that's a two-way street. That's a
Yeah,
two-way
it
conversation.
is,
We're
it
gonna
is.
have that one day because that's a powerful one right there.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's amazing what is taking place, and I think not only do the women need to stand behind them, but most of all, behind those women needs to be the men. And that's one thing I like that I didn't say earlier, that they had fathers, they had brothers, boyfriends, husbands, fiancés at the event, because we have to be the support system. Because you see how the world is going right now, and a lot of men, the spotlight on the negative things that they have been doing to the women. But one way to correct that, or to stand against that, to be the opposite of what they're seeing on the media, is to be the strong ones behind them, and to be there and say, anything you need, I'm here. You worried? You fall? I got you.
Says the person who saved everything.
Exactly. So we have to do that. We have to do that. I think that's important because we're going back to the movie. At the end of the movie, the Black Panther turns. No, I'm sorry for the spoiler, but he turns to his soon-to-be girl. And, they had that dialogue, because she looked out for him. He looked out for her. It wasn't a king, queen type of deal. It was just person to person.
Reciprocity.
Exactly, because he came from his great mother who married his great father. And it's just a lineage that kept going on. So we can make a lot of parallels with the movie, but that's the way our lives should be as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a powerful conversation to have. I always in the marketing for the event said to women, bring your husbands, bring your sons, because we want to teach our husbands, our sons, our brothers, our cousins, and the men in our lives how important it is to celebrate the women and girls in their lives.
Yeah.
There's an old saying that says, if mama isn't happy, then no one in the family is happy. But more than that, when women and girls are celebrated by external factors, then we learn to say, well, you know what? Maybe something I'm not even seeing in myself exists.
Exactly.
And then we can sow into other women and other girls, and then sow back into our families.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it is important that not only as women we celebrate each other, but that everyone in our lives learns to celebrate us.
Yeah.
And with celebration becomes accountability.
Yeah.
Because I can't say I love you. I can't say I celebrate you without holding you accountable to be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
just the reality of it.
I agree.
Accountability is important. I taught that at Career Day at Coop Elementary yesterday. That you have to have an accountability partner. And you said earlier that a lot of young girls believe that us as black women compete instead of collaborate, which is not true.
It's a myth.
It is. And for them to, that was another comment I got from my mentees, was that to see that many black women coming together in one place was shocking to them, because they are led to believe, and society is led to believe, that black women compete with each other. But really, we are collaborating and we are doing things in the community, and we are standing together. And when we stand together, we're more powerful than when we're separate.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely there's strength in numbers, like anything else, you know. And I think that, you know, women, we have to stop perpetuating the myth. We have to stop saying, you know what, I don't have a lot of female friends because women don't get along. Because y'all know how women are. What does that even mean? Well, how are women? Like, yes, I mean, we've all been burned and been hurt by people in our lives, but every single person on earth can say the same thing. Woman and or man. There are some good people in the world, and there's some bad people in the world. But you should not give the bad people who have hurt you the power in order to shape your ability to connect with new people.
Exactly.
No, I agree.
I mean, if you do, then you give them the power over your interaction and your choices. And I don't think anybody who's had a negative impact in your life deserves that kind of power.
Right.
But that's just me.
No, I agree. I agree. I listened to your podcast on forgiveness, and I was like, Kurt, you better say that.
Yeah, go follow us.
Yeah,
see, we have some good stuff
That
sometimes.
forgiveness podcast was, I was like, oh, Tasha Green.
Yeah, you know, and I think for me, I've learned to be intentional about selecting my tribe. That means that everybody can't come. It definitely means that you have to have standards about, you know, who you connect with. But those standards start with yourself. If you don't have standards for yourself, how are you going to have standards for the people who you connect with?
Yeah.
You know,
That's
join
true.
us next week. We'll be talking about standards for yourself and holding yourself accountable in order to be able to have standards and connections with the people who come into your life.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But so thank you guys for joining me for the Black Girl Excellence 2018 recaps show. I was so excited, overwhelmed with emotion, just overcome with the energy in that room, with how the women were talking and connecting with each other. With the fact that my little girl vendors, who are all between the ages of 8 and 18 years old, were really just doing business.
They really were. They
were doing
hyped me up
Yeah.
because when I remember going to the author's table and I saw her signing her book, I was like, whoa. And then I looked at the title of the book. Then I looked at the the animation of the book, and I said, this is you. And then I looked up and her parents were behind her, and I was like, this is y'all. I felt like I was seeing celebrities, you know.
Yes.
I was like, oh man, this is awesome. This is awesome. And you know, her book, I saw the first one that's about she travels the world. And it was
Yes.
talking about how different places she went. I think that's just simply amazing.
It is.
And then the other vendors that had the body care products.
Oh, the Sugar Babes.
Sugar
Hey, Sugar Babes.
It's honey. I
Yeah.
got the Love Maya body butter, and it is amazing.
Yeah, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, not only are these girls in business, but they are selling quality
Yes,
products, you know?
quality, yes.
So make sure that you look up Ava Neal. She's an author. Look up the Sugar Babes who have the vegan body care products. Make sure you follow Carpe Diem Arts. They are painters. Nesaya Sharber is a Black Girls Do Ballet ambassador. And Sock Out Poverty and Princess Jackson. Make sure that you look up these little girls, support their businesses, because I'm telling you, you're going to see these girls in major marketplaces before it's all said and done. You know, we're going to definitely see where these girls' lives are going. And if you were at the event, you already know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
They were professional. They were put together. And shout out to the parents, because these girls had parents who were cheering them on, who were working tables.
Stephanie was working her daughter's table.
Yeah, you know, who are definitely there for them, investing in their children. And I was remiss earlier. I missed the sponsor. I also want to say thank you to Curls Natural Hair Products.
I just used it. It's a wash and go. This is a wash. Just did.
You see, look, that's some live endorsement right there. Curls Natural Hair Products, thank you so much for being a major sponsor at our event and having amazing products.
Yeah.
For those of us who are at every phase of the natural hair journey, I definitely appreciate you and your products. And thank you guys for every person who bought a ticket, who attended the event, who donated a ticket, to all of our swag bag sponsors, to everyone who was involved in making this event an absolute success. I thank you, I honor you, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so now that we got all the mushy stuff out the way, I want to give you guys your call to action for this week. Your call to action for this week is to go out of your way to find a young person to inspire. Find someone who you can pour into, because the one thing that I know is support, like joy, like peace, is contagious. So pour into someone who is following you. If there is no one following you, then do something to make people want to follow you.
Exactly.
Support into the children in your life, the children at your school, the children at your children's school, the children in your neighborhood, the young person who just started working at your job. It doesn't have to be a kid. Pour into a 20-year-old. You know, pour into a 30-year-old if you're 50. Give the people who can benefit from the knowledge, the love, the energy that you have, give it away, because you don't lose anything by giving it away.
Yeah.
You
exactly.
only gain.
Yep.
Exactly. So that's a good action.
Yeah.
Good action.
So make sure that you are in action this upcoming week and you are trying to inspire, empower, and motivate others. Chaz Bailey, give us our good news story for the week.
All right, so back to the mushy stuff. But our good news story of this week comes from West Virginia. Actually, I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to the news. West Virginia, the entire state public schools are closed because the teachers went on strike because of pay, things of that nature, and they're standing firm. But what these teachers did, they understood in this story, as you can see, that they're teachers for a reason. And by teaching the students, education is one form of it. But another form of these students coming to school, it may be the only meal that they receive.
Wow.
So even though these teachers are not in the classroom, what they did, they banded together and created lunch bags for the students in the school and went around and to churches or went door to door to hand out the lunch bags, because they understood that a lot of children are in poverty. And a lot of children only eat at school. So even though I'm handling my business to get my pay where it needs to be, I can't turn my back on what my job is really here for. And that's what these teachers did. And I thought that was really inspiring, because it's showing you that despite what's going on in your business, remember who you're doing it for, and remember what you're doing it for and how others can benefit. And as the title says, before they went on strike, they packed lunches to make sure they wouldn't miss a meal.
And that is absolutely amazing, to advocate for yourself, for what you need as a teacher and your salary, but to also to make sure that these kids aren't penalized because you are advocating for yourself.
Exactly.
I think that is absolutely amazing. That was a good news story. Thank you so much for sharing us with that. So before we leave, Miranda, do you have anything that's coming up you want to share with our audience?
Yes, I do. We have our second annual Spring into the Future fundraising gala coming up on April 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. at Congregation Emmanuel. And we have an annual fundraising gala for the Trouble Movement, where we raise money for our programs, for our mentoring program. We will be giving away 2 scholarships to two young girls who are high school junior and senior. And we will be doing a survivor ceremony. Every year we do a survivor ceremony where someone will nominate somebody who is a survivor of abuse, of mental illness, of just life, and how they overcame, and we give them awards for that. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a silent auction.
Well, I can't wait.
Some gift cards and things like that. Nasaja is going to be performing. She's going to do a dance, and I'm going to try not to cry because she's so amazing. But yes, April 21st from 6 to 9 p.m., we will be having our gala. Tickets can be purchased at ttmgala2018.eventbrite.com.
Awesome. Well, count us in. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there to support you as you are there to support us.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Trouble Movement. The Trouble Movement is doing great work for the youth of Houston. It is a 501c3 organization. So if you choose to sponsor and or donate, you can write that off on your taxes. So don't hesitate. You know, all my corporations who are tuned in, make sure that you guys, I know how that is personally.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's after April 15th, so it's new tax season. Hey,
jump on it. Come on.
Jump
the Trouble
on
Movement will take it.
So
help the community.
Organizations that are investing in our youth. And again, I'm Latasha Weatherspoon, your Chief Empowerment Officer of The Lifted Lifestyle. You can find me on all social media at Tasha Spoon and at The Lifted Lifestyle. I am joined by my favorite host, don't tell him, Mr. Chaz Bailey.
And you can find me online on Twitter at Chaz Bailey, and also Lifted Lifestyle. We're on Twitter as well at Love the Lifted. And where are you at?
I am on Instagram at Elements of Me and the Trouble Movement, and Twitter the same, the Elements of Me and Trouble Movement, and Facebook Miranda Evans and the Trouble Movement.
She everywhere.
Everywhere.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys for joining the Lifted Lifestyle podcast. Remember that this is an opportunity to live above any limitations in your life. You control your destiny. Always live lifted.